So today we are going to see how we are going to connect to OCA console, your OCA tenancy using API key. See, normally how do you connect your, how do you connect and fetch your OCA resources? You, as soon as you get the username and password, your credential from your admin, you will change your password. Then using OCA console, um, um, using that graphical interface, you can connect your OCA tenancy and you can work with all your OCA resources. Okay, so Oracle has come up with n number of ways to connect to your tenancy and work with all your OCA resources. Okay, so you can connect using API key and session tokens, session authenticate token they call it as, and then you can use auth token. There are n number of ways you can use to connect to OCA resources. Okay, to connect to tenancy and work with your OCA resources. Today we are going to see, it's a very short session. We are going to see how we are going to connect using the basic, the fundamental API key. Okay, API key. After that, in the next session we will talk about the session authenticate, then auth token. One by one we will go through that. Okay, now why do we need API key? You can ask me, why can't I use the console to connect and work with my resources? See, you may need to handle your OCA resources programmatically. For example, you are in your compute instance, your DB tier or middle tier. So, and you want to work with your OCA resources. For example, your database password, username password, you stored it in the vault secret, or you are generating some token to connect to your database. One by one we will see later. So basically you want to programmatically you want to fetch some information from your OCA tenancy. Okay, so for that I cannot use that graphical interface, right? So I should be in my middle tier or DB tier. I should be able to connect to your tenancy and fetch my OCA resources. Okay, now, so to set up the API key, nowadays, whenever you spin the compute instance, by default, you are getting the OCA. It is already installed. Otherwise, you can easily install it using mrepo, but that is not required. It is already available. So what you have to do, you have to execute the command OCA setup config. OCA setup config. That means you are going to set up the configuration so that you can use the API key method to connect to your OCA tenancy. Okay, so you will get some information, what are all the documents you can refer. Okay, it will display. Then these are all the mandatory details you have to supply. Okay, so basically what you are going to supply, enter a location for your config. Basically you can choose any location. There it is going to create one file called config. By default it is going to be your home location and in the hidden directory called .oci. Okay, so it is going to store the information what you are going to supply in this hidden directory. Okay, so what are all the information it is going to ask you? It is asking you user OCID. Every OCA resources has OCID. It is unique. Okay, it is unique across the world. So every OCA resources has the OCID. Either it is a user, tenancy, compartment, vault, secret, anything, VCN, subnet, any resource, object storage, any OCA resource, you name it, it has its own OCID. Now it is asking what is your user OCID. You, as a which user using this API key method you want to connect, what is that user OCID? Then it is asking what is the tenancy OCID. Okay, so you have to supply the user OCID. I will tell you how to fetch that user OCID. You have to supply the user OCID, then you have to supply the tenancy OCID. Okay, Then enter a region. What is going to be your primary region? You can choose whether it is a Ashburn, Tokyo, Mumbai, whatever it is. You can choose the respective number. Okay. Then okay, it will give some message like, do you want to generate the new API signing RSA key pair? Yes, I want to generate the new, because it should be a secured way. It should, you should have a private key, and the public key you can distribute, right? So enter a directory for your keys to be created. Yes, I'm going to use the same location. Enter a name for your key. I'm using all OCA API key. If you want, you can name it differently. What is your public key? Okay, my public key is going to be OCA API key public.pem, all default. Okay, so now everything going to store under the .oca folder. Passphrase, if you want to give any password, right? I'm not giving that. Also, I will tell you later what is the when you have to use that. Private key, right? So private key, fingerprint, automatically it will generate. Okay, now all this information, where it is written, it is written under home oracle.oca config. Okay, what are all the information you had supplied so far? That is your user OCID, your tenancy OCID, your private key details, your fingerprint details, everything it is storing under this config file. Okay, now we supplied that user OCID, you supplied the tenancy OCID. So you should know how to get the OCID of user and tenancy. So log into your OCI using your console. Okay, now as soon as you log in, you will, in the right corner, in the right corner, top right corner, you will find one icon like this. Click that. Here you will find tenancy, user settings, all those details. Tenancy, your tenancy name will be displayed here. User settings you will find. So if you click the tenancy, it will give you the tenancy name and the OCID of the tenancy. If you click the user setting, it will give you the username and the OCID of the user. Now if you see, say when I click that user setting, I got the OCID of the user. Okay, if I click the tenancy, I got the tenancy information, OCID, tenancy name, all those details I will get it. So you just need to copy, paste it there. Click copy, paste it there. So from here you can store your user OCID and your tenancy OCID. Okay, how you are doing? Logging into the console, and in the top right corner, you are seeing top right corner, you are seeing that icon, right? You are seeing that icon. Then you are clicking that user information, user settings, or you are clicking the tenancy to get the tenancy and user OCID. Okay, so you created the config file, correct? You created the config file. So all these details I created under home oracle.oca. Okay, so here, what are all the files it generated? It created the private key. Don't share it with anyone. It has the public key as well, right? And it has the config. So if you give cat config, what are all the information you gave? Your user OCID, your fingerprint and key file, your private key, and your tenancy details, your region details. Okay, so everything is available here. Okay, now what is the next step? So now you just cat this public key, so you will get one encryption data, right? You will just cat this public key. This is normally we used to generate when we are in the rack environment, SSH connectivity between rack nodes. We used to do exactly same public and private key. Okay, so what you have to do, log into the console, click user settings, same user settings what I showed before, click API keys. All these things we will discuss later. So click API keys. Okay, so API keys, you will get the screen like this. Here click add API key. Okay, add API key. Now you can paste public key, whatever the public key, you can choose the public key file. Okay, or you can paste the public key. I just told you cat that public key file, you get the encryption data, just paste it here. Paste your public key here. You can just copy and paste it here. Okay, then add it. Okay, now if you give, suppose I want to get my object storage namespace without connecting to the OCI console. This is my compute instance. I am giving OCI. See, initially when I was trying that, see, same command I tried before. I hope I had this. I mentioned this here. Yeah, see, initially when I tried that command OCI OS NSGet, it was giving me error, could not find the config file. Because as soon as you are trying to fetch the resource, it is looking for your config file in the default location. It could not find the config file. Okay, so now OCI was OS NSGet, it could find the config file. Using your user ID OCI, it could find the tenancy details and it could connect. Public key is there, you already uploaded, you will get your namespace of your object storage. This is just one simple command we use normally to check the connectivity. Otherwise, you can n number of commands, thousands of commands we have, sitting in the compute instance. You can connect to any OCI resources and you can work with them interactively. Okay, you need not logging into the console. Understood? Even you can spin the compute instance, everything programmatically you can handle. Now see, suppose you generated this config details here. If you copy this .oci folder from to other compute instance, from there also you can connect. Okay, so you can connect to same thing. You can copy to some other environment. From there also you can connect. You need not configure the same thing again. Okay, so this is one of the simple method to connect to your OCI resource using API key. And next class we will talk about instance principle. That is also very useful practically. We'll talk about instance principle. Thank you.